Get started. My name is Jay and I'm one of the teachers at e2language.com. In this lesson, live class, whatever you want to call it, we're going to look at IELTS Writing Task 2, which most people find entirely confusing because, well, it's not simple, is it? There's a lot of writing that has to be done, a lot of sentences, a lot of words, a lot of punctuation, a lot of grammar, a lot of vocabulary. In fact, it can be made easier. In this one, we're going to look at the advantages and disadvantages question type, but what I'm going to teach you will apply to all of the different question types that you may see on test day. The first thing you want to do is look at the question prompt, of course. You want to understand that question prompt. And on test day, it's going to look like this. It's going to just give you a general instruction. You should spend 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. Then you're going to see the really important thing here. And really, you can ignore this other stuff. You just want to focus here. This one says, university students are increasingly studying abroad as part of their studies. Do the advantages of studying abroad outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, so it's asking us about students studying abroad. Is it good or is it bad? Or does the goodness outweigh the badness? Now, the thing is, you may see clearly this word advantage or disadvantage. Other times it will say benefits and drawbacks, might say positive and negative. But either way, this is the advantage-disadvantage question type. Fine, we need to look at it a bit more closely because there are three parts to this question prompt. The first one is a general statement. It says, university students are increasingly studying abroad as part of their studies. This is just a general statement. What this does is just sets the context of the essay. Every question prompt you see will have a first sentence general statement. It's important because I'll show you in a minute why. The second part of this one basically asks you, what are the advantages of studying abroad? Okay? It actually says, do the advantages of studying abroad outweigh the disadvantages? But we can look at this like this. What are the advantages of studying abroad? And the third part is, of course, what are the disadvantages of studying abroad? So if we look at this question type, there are three parts: the general statement, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages? Cool, we've just understood that. Let's just think about the structure. We're going to write a 4-paragraph structure, an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. This is what the entire essay will look like sentence by sentence. And what I want you to do is, with me in this lesson, is write a full essay sentence by sentence from beginning to end. We're going to skip paragraph 2 because we'll do that in paragraph 1. So effectively, we're writing the introduction, paragraph 1, and the conclusion. And I'm going to show you mine as we go. All right, let's start with the introduction. How do we write the introduction? Well, the introduction looks like this. This is the first part of the essay. And if we look closely at it, it has 3 sentences. Sentence 1, we rewrite the general statement in our own words. Okay, that's easy. That's a good way to get started. I know exactly how to start my essay on test day. Sentence 2, we mention main advantage and disadvantage. Okay, that's easy enough. So what's the main advantage of studying abroad? And what's the main disadvantage of studying abroad? We mention that in 1 sentence. Fine. And then sentence 3, give your opinion. Okay, so do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Let's do it. Let's write sentence 1. We need to rewrite this general statement in our own words. It says, university students are increasingly studying abroad as part of their studies. Introduction, rewrite that general statement. You have 2 minutes to do this. Rewrite this in your own words to mean exactly the same thing, but just rephrase it, write it differently. 2 minutes starts now. Herman says, more and more tertiary students are studying overseas recently. Good. Well done. Perfect. Mohammed says, trend of studying in different other countries is going to increase. No, it's currently increasing. It's not going to increase, it's currently increasing. So you say, the trend of studying in another country is currently increasing. Make sure you write get the same meaning, but just in different words. The trend of studying in another country is currently increasing. Good, well done. 30 seconds left. Suda says, growing number of university students, a growing number of university students opt to study abroad nowadays. Good, perfect. Julia says, the students at the universities tend to complete their study overseas. Not quite, Julia. You've missed the increasing part about it. Nisha says, currently, many people are preferring to study abroad at universities. Good, not bad. Well done. Maria says, nowadays, people are likely to continue to study in the developed countries. No, it's got nothing to do with developed countries. It's just about studying abroad. Make sure you get the exact meaning. We don't want to add any more information or write anything inaccurate. Maria says there is an increasing amount of students studying in a foreign land. Good, but I would say there is an increasing number of students studying in foreign countries. Good. Ashita says tertiary institution students are focusing on pursuing their studies in other countries. Excellent, well done. We've just written the first sentence of our introduction. Here's mine. Okay, so I'm going to capture the same meaning. University students are increasingly studying abroad as part of their studies. I wrote, many university students routinely study in other institutes around the world as part of their degrees. Good, so this sort of increasingly, and I wrote routinely, actually I think some of yours were better than mine here. But I've captured the main idea here, okay? I've just rewritten it. That's all you have to do to start your essay, which is great because it relieves a lot of anxiety because you know how to begin. Cool, and we've just written the first sentence. So let's move on to the second sentence, which says, mention main advantage and disadvantage, singular, one of each. So one sentence, what's the main advantage? And what's the main disadvantage? I want you to try and write this in a single sentence. You may want to use a structure like, although blah, 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 or despite blah, 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 blah. Let's see if we can get two ideas into the one sentence. 2 minutes. Maria says, although studying abroad can give them, the students, the opportunity to learn other languages and cultures, it can cost them more compared to their countries. Good, well done. Mohammed said, students can get some major courses which are not available in their own country and some advanced study available abroad. Good, but there's no disadvantage there, Mohammed. I want an advantage and a disadvantage in the one sentence, using a structure like, although they can get this advantage, there is this disadvantage. Herman, no, Herman, not yet. Whoopsie, I just realized if I look at YouTube, you can't see my screen. So I apologize, I won't do that again. Good, Mohammed, well done. But they're expensive. Good, so that's the disadvantage, expense. Suda says, the foremost benefit of pursuing higher education from overseas could be more cultural difference awareness. However, on the downside, it could cost them far more than in their own country. Good, well done. So you've got cultural awareness as the advantage, and you've got cost as the disadvantage. That's fine. Ruchi says, although students get to learn and meet people, getting used to the culture takes a lot of time. Good, I agree. And I wrote something kind of similar to you guys. I wrote this. And I started with an although sentence because when you use an although blah, 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 or despite blah, 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 you can put both the disadvantages and advantages in one sentence. So I wrote this. Although students will often struggle with cultural and linguistic challenges while abroad, they will also gain significant life experiences that will reward them later on in their careers. Cool. So what's my advantages? Well, significant life experiences, and I put that at the end. The first idea, though, I put as the disadvantage was cultural and linguistic challenges. So cultural challenges and language challenges are the disadvantages. The advantages are the significant life experience. So now my essay is going to be about that. From this sentence, I now have my 2 paragraphs that I will write. One paragraph will be about language and cultural challenges of studying abroad. My second paragraph will be about how you can benefit your life from personal experience, okay? Cool. We've done sentence 2. Now we move on to sentence 3. We need to give our opinion. So I'm going to show you mine. So which do you think is better, studying abroad or not? This is what I wrote, and I'm going to go back so you can write yours in a second. In my opinion, students are far better off having studied in a different country despite the challenges that they will inevitably face. So my opinion is that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. I've outlined them. This is my introduction. Now I'm going to move from here into my paragraphs to give more and more details. Let's go back though, because I want you to write your opinion. Which do you think is better, studying abroad or not? All right, let's have a look at some of these answers. What are your opinions? Julia says, I believe that the positive points of studying overseas surpass the negative aspects. Good, well done. What else have we got? This is an easy sentence to write. Ruchi says, in my opinion, studying abroad opens new avenues and certainly outweighs the disadvantages. Excellent. Nisha says, in my opinion, studying abroad has more advantages than disadvantages. Muhammad says, in my opinion, studying abroad is more beneficial, even though it is costly. Good, Muhammad. Good. Suda says, in my opinion, students will benefit more by studying overseas, even though they may have to pay significant amounts of money. Well done, cool bananas. And guess what we've just done? We have just written our introduction, 3 sentences. First one, we rewrote the general statement. Second one, we mentioned the advantage and disadvantage. Third one, we gave our opinion, and it's a beautiful introduction. It looks like this. I'm going to read it to you. Many university students routinely study in other institutes around the world as part of their degrees. Although students will often struggle with cultural and linguistic challenges while abroad, they will also gain significant life experiences that will reward them later on in their careers. In my opinion, students are far better off having studied in a different country, despite the challenges that they will inevitably face. 66 words for that introduction. Good. And that's what it is. It's those 3 sentences. Fine. How do we write a paragraph? Okay, how do we write paragraph 1? Well, we're going to learn how to do it, and I want you to do it. And the same principles will apply to paragraph 2. So if we learn how to do this one, then we can write the next one. No problem. So your first paragraph, I'm going to talk about the advantage. And my advantage that I said was culture. What did I say? What did I say? Oh, significant life experience, like personal growth. So I'm going to write a paragraph about how studying abroad can lead to personal growth. That's my advantage. That's my one main advantage. Okay. Sentence 1, I'm going to outline that main advantage. Sentence 2, I'm going to give reasons why studying abroad leads to personal growth. Sentence 3, I'm going to give some examples, maybe even personal examples. Sentence 4, I'm just going to restate that main advantage of personal growth. Let's do it together. So let's start with sentence 1. What's the main advantage of studying abroad? Elaborate on your introductory idea. What's the main advantage? One sentence. Say in different words what your main advantage is in more detail. All right, let's have a look at some of these answers. I'm sorry I can't look on YouTube, but there's a delay. So I'm just answering people in the webinar now, but keep putting your comments in to the live chat on YouTube. Put together your whole essay. At the end, we will come away with an entire essay, so it's worth your time. What have we got? Herman says, one argument put forward in favor of the prime benefit is to gain plenty of experience from other countries' cultures and other international friends. Okay, so you've split it off into 2 ideas. You're talking about culture and friends. So just choose one. Just choose one. Ruchi says, students get to learn a lot during the study abroad. Good, that's fine. It's a simple, clear sentence. That's fine. Sometimes simplicity and clarity are far better than complexity if you can't control your sentence. Suda says, one of the main advantages of studying overseas is becoming more aware of cultural differences between countries. Beautiful, well done. Mohammed said, some major courses are not available in most of the countries, so that it is necessary to move in some advanced countries. Okay, good. Yep, that's fine. Good, that's fine. Well done. Julia, the crucial beneficial factor of having the opportunity to study abroad is that this provides more options for a future career. Good, well done. You've got a single idea there. That's fine. You're going to elaborate on that in your next 3 sentences. Maria says the main point which can be claimed as an advantage of studying abroad is that students may experience other cultures and languages. Good, I said that. Ruchi says most of the studies are based on practical exposure where they get to do something hands-on. Fine. What did I write? I wrote this. The greatest benefit, that's a nice way of saying the biggest advantage. The greatest benefit of studying abroad is that students will have life experiences that will improve themselves as people that would have been otherwise impossible if they had only studied in their own countries. It's a very complex sentence. I'm going to talk about complex sentences at the end of this lesson, by the way. This is the type of sentence that an IELTS examiner looks at and thinks, whoa, okay, this guy or this girl's got some skills. Cool. But as I said, simple sentences, if you're not confident with your grammar, choose a simple sentence any day of the week. So let's have a look at this. What's the main advantage? Well, life experiences that will improve themselves. People will have life experiences that will improve themselves. That's my main advantage there. Now I need to give reasons why these experiences will improve themselves, or you give reasons why studying at some universities will lead to a better career. You need to give reasons why. So now you need to answer why. Give reasons for the main advantage of studying abroad. I've missed a slide there. I'm just going to show you my example first and you can do yours. I'm giving reasons. Why does studying abroad lead to personal growth? Being in another country requires people to push themselves beyond the norm into unusually difficult experiences. I'm going to elaborate on this in my next sentence. Now you write your sentence, give reasons for the main advantage. Reason or reasons. Ruchi says, Sudha says, furthermore, it is not easy to understand others' culture while staying at home country. Fine. Ruchi says, students unleash their unknown hidden talent when they go through these practical situations, which in turn increases their knowledge and experience. Beautiful, Ruchi, well done. Wael Ali says, it will encourage people to blend in with an E, blend in with different societies with more confidence. Good, nice reason. Herman says students who are staying overseas are self-reliant in order to manage their own finances, plural, and their lives, plural. Finances, plural, lives, plural. Julia says the quality of the education overseas is more likely to be higher and is linked to the modern positive trends in this area. Good reasons, well done. We've just written our sentence 2. Let's write our sentence 3. Now we give examples. For example, I'm going to show you mine first. So I'm going to use a personal example. It says this. For example, when I studied in Indonesia and India as a 20-year-old, sorry, I'm going to read that again. For example, when I studied in Indonesia and India as a 20-year-old, I was continually pushed out of my comfort zone into psychological states that were unique and novel and that I had to adapt to no matter what. That's an example. So give an example for your main advantage. Give an example of your main advantage. For example, for instance, use a connecting word like this. Good, Mohammed. Well done. Good. Ruchi says, for example, when I went to Paris to study, the way of study was complete practical basis, which helped me a lot to learn there. I'm going to reword that, Ruchi. For example, when I studied in Paris, the way that the French studied was a lot more practical, and this helped me learn a lot. Something like that. Sudha, for example, it has been found that students who pursue their higher education from overseas tend to blend more easily and effortlessly with people from different backgrounds. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well done. Herman says, to illustrate, nice. When I was studying in Australia, I had to balance my career, study, and social life, which I believe would not be challenging if I stayed in my own country. Good, good, good. Well done. Julia, for instance, many educational providers are able to offer the best lecturers and high qualified staff through a blended learning approach combining face-to-face and online classes. Fantastic. Good example. Mohammed says, for example, one of my friends went to the USA to complete his PhD in information technology because he did not get this opportunity as it was not available in Pakistan. Excellent. Well done. So I read you my example. I talked about a personal experience of mine. One more sentence, then we've written our paragraph. What we need to do is we need to pull our paragraph together. How we do that is we restate the main advantage. We say, for this reason, or therefore, or something like that. I'll show you mine. Mine says, these ultra challenging experiences, I got really technical here, I'm sorry, I got a bit carried away. These ultra challenging experiences are paradoxically the main advantage of studying overseas because they make you grow as a person. So I've restated the main advantage was personal growth. And I've just done that through a different sentence, okay? So try doing that. Restate your main advantage. Good. Ruchi says, for the final sentence of paragraph 1, these significant challenges make you a better person along with great learning. Good. Muhammad says, therefore, comma, this kind of need makes migrating to another country for higher education essential. Herman says, as can be seen, this advantage has a huge profound impact on the future, has an impact on the future of students. You need to get your prepositions right there, Herman. Suda says, becoming more aware of others' culture and understanding others' culture, comma, and understanding them, comma, is thus one of the biggest advantages of studying overseas. Good, well done. You just need some commas there because, Suda, listen to how I read this. Becoming more aware of others' culture and understanding them, you need a break. You need to say others' culture, comma, and understanding them, comma. Good. Any more? Julia, therefore, comma, the rich learning environment can provide a positive effect on students' academic achievement. Plural, academic achievements. Good. Well done. Good use of the apostrophe, Julia. Perfect. Fine. So that was my crazy sentence. We have just written paragraph 1, which was where we described in detail the main advantage. I'm going to read you mine. I was kind of showing off using big vocabulary and complex grammar, and I'll show you why at the end, but let's just read this. I'm talking about the main disadvantage, remember. It's a 4-sentence paragraph. The greatest benefit of studying abroad is that students will have life experiences that will improve themselves as people that would have been otherwise impossible if they had only studied in their own countries. Being in another country requires people to push themselves beyond the norm into unusually difficult experiences. That's my reason, my example. For example, when I studied in Indonesia and India as a 20-year-old, I was continually pushed out of my comfort zone into psychological states that were unique and novel and that I had to adapt to no matter what. Final sentence, which restates my main advantage. These ultra-challenging experiences are paradoxically the main advantage of studying overseas because they make you grow as a person. It's a complex one, but cool, fine. How to write paragraph 2? Well, we're not going to write paragraph 2 because we just wrote paragraph 1. The structure's the same, but let's just have a look. It's the same thing. You outline the main disadvantage. So now we talk about the disadvantage. We give reasons, we give examples, we restate the disadvantage. So it's exactly the same as paragraph 1. Should say paragraph 2 here. So the main disadvantage. This is my disadvantage paragraph. See if you can see the different sentence parts. Just let me move this thing here. The main challenges, so here's my disadvantage. The main challenges that students will face while overseas will usually stem from cultural and linguistic differences. These differences compose massive obstacles for people because they require one to move beyond the familiar and into the unknown, which can often be awkward and quite scary. For instance, while studying in Indonesia, I had to frequently make a fool of myself in order to communicate with the local people in their language. Oftentimes, I felt embarrassed and I longed to speak English and be in the familiarity of my own culture. Fine, so what was the word I used? I've stated the main disadvantage there right at the beginning. I've given reasons. I've given an example, for instance, and then I've wrapped up the paragraph. Not quite explicitly, I must say. Oftentimes I felt embarrassed and longed to speak English and be in the familiarity of my own culture. I've done this not explicitly, but I have mentioned language and culture challenge in the final sentence there. Cool. So that's what the paragraph is. You can do that one in your own time, okay? Maybe after this lesson. Let's now move to the conclusion, because if you start well and you have a good paragraph structure, you want to have a good conclusion. You want to finish well, so you maximize your score. How do we write the conclusion? Well, the conclusion is the 4th paragraph, and it will have 3 sentences. Again, we're going to rewrite the general statement from the question prompt. We're going to mention the main advantage and disadvantage again, and we're going to give our opinion again, effectively what we're doing is we're writing another introduction. So you got to make sure that your conclusion matches with your introduction. So if you're in good technology in universities and the disadvantage being the cost, in your conclusion, you should also be mentioning the same things, but just in different words. And the conclusion should also follow on from your paragraphs. So for example, in your introduction, you wrote about good technology, but it's expensive. The first paragraph would be about good technology. Second paragraph will be about the expenses. In your conclusion, you're going to mention the same factors again. This is how you get the coherence. I'll talk to you about the scoring at the end. I just got a couple of questions here. Nope, all good. Let's have a look at this introduction. Rewrite the general statement. Here's the general statement. University students are increasingly studying abroad as part of their studies. Write this in a different way and in a different way to your introduction. Good, Julia, fine. Julia wrote, to conclude, the recent tendency is that the increasing number of students prefer to complete their degrees, plural, degrees, not one degree, their degrees, plural, overseas. Good. Julia, I would write, to conclude, what would I write? I would write, there is a recent tendency for university students to prefer to complete their degrees overseas. I'd probably reword that. Recent tendency is not quite right. Muhammad says, finally, in this current era, your verb's not quite right. It has become more popular to get education from overseas. Good, Muhammad, well done. Just has become, just that present perfect verb there. Suda says, in modern days, students are gaining their higher education from foreign countries. Their higher education from students, in modern days, students gaining their higher education from foreign countries is increasing significantly. Well done. Herman says, to sum up, as we have noticed, not quite, Herman, don't put noticed. Just to sum up, there is a significant number of students who prefer to study overseas. Beautiful. Parmeet says, to put in a nutshell, no. Nutshell is not good in an academic essay. Let's just say, to conclude, in summary, to conclude or in summary is probably the best. Foreign way of teaching will boost up your knowledge tremendously. No, all we're doing is rewriting this sentence here. We're not putting any opinion in or any advantage. We're just rewriting this. Ruchi says, to recapitulate, more tertiary students prefer studying abroad recently. Good. Well done. All right, fine. What did I write? I wrote a really dead simple sentence. I just wrote, studying overseas has become incredibly common. Studying overseas has become incredibly common. That's all I wrote. Simple, clean, tidy, grammatical sentence. I've used a nice verb here, has become, and I've used this collocation, adverb, adjective, incredibly common. It's like saying increasingly common. It's a little bit different in meaning, but this is a simple, straight sentence. And your essay should have some simple sentences and some complex sentences. Cool. Sentence 2. Mention the main advantage and disadvantage again. Here we go. Good, Ruchi, well done. This opens significant avenues for learning and practical exposure, though they have to cope with cultural and language barriers, or culture and language barriers. Good, well done. So you've stated both the advantage and the disadvantage. Julia says, while overseas study can bring some cultural challenges, this can open the additional advantages in a future career. Good, well done, that's fine. Mohammed says, it's important to get more education from other countries, but the cost is very high. Good, Mohammed, short, simple. Just don't forget that apostrophe on it is, it's. Good, that's it. Herman says, although there is a linguistic barrier problem, students will eventually overcome this and open up an avenue for them to work overseas. Excellent, well done. Perfect, just a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence, and that is a perfect sentence. Cool, all right, that's probably the hardest sentence to write. We need to mention the main advantage and the main disadvantage again. This is what I wrote. While students will no doubt experience social and language barriers, if you remember in my introduction, I talked about cultural and linguistic barriers or obstacles. So I'm using synonyms here, different words that mean the same thing. While students will no doubt experience social and language barriers, it is in fact these barriers that lead to the main advantage of studying abroad, which is personal growth. So I've mentioned the advantage here right at the end. And I've put my disadvantages here, social and language barriers. So that's my second sentence. And we've done that one. Now we're on to our third sentence, give your opinion. I'm just going to show you my opinion. As a contradiction of sorts, it is the hardship that ultimately makes the experience of studying abroad more advantageous than disadvantageous. That's my opinion. So ultimately, I think that the challenges that I was talking about, the cultural and linguistic challenges actually become the advantage. So mine's a bit complex, but let's see what your opinion is. Oops, I'll leave that there. Write your opinion and sum up the essay in a beautiful sentence. Good. All right. So what do we got? Julia has written, I am inclined to believe that despite the disadvantages, the overall benefits of studying abroad are still mainstream. That doesn't make sense. Mainstream is the wrong word here. I would say the overall benefits of studying abroad are advantageous or are superior. Ruchi says, in my belief, the cultural and linguistic barriers do not hold much significance in front of the experience and knowledge gained. Good. In front of is probably the wrong preposition here. In my belief, the cultural and linguistic barriers do not hold much significance compared to the experience and knowledge gained. That's better. Herman, as a result, I strongly agree that the benefit of studying abroad outweighs the detrimental effects, plural. Mohammed says, so as my point of view, let's just say in my opinion, I believe that spending more money is nothing in front of getting quality education. In front of, what's this in front of preposition? In my point of view, I believe that spending more money is worth the quality of education received. That would be better. Ruchi, good. Well done. You fixed your sentence there. Sudha says, despite having financial hardship to study overseas for higher education, the benefits that students gain by knowing other cultures will be much more beneficial. Beautiful. I love it. It's amazing if you just follow a structure, sentence by sentence structure, how powerful your essays can become. Without a structure, it's so easy just to go blah and end up somewhere where you don't want to be. So cool. We've done that. We've written our conclusion, sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3. This is my conclusion. I'm going to read it to you. Studying overseas has become incredibly common. While students will no doubt experience social and language barriers, it is in fact these barriers that lead to the main advantage of studying abroad, which is personal growth. As a contradiction of sorts, it is the hardship that ultimately makes the experience of studying abroad more advantageous than disadvantageous. 56 words. We have written an essay. This is what it looks like. If the IELTS examiners didn't give me a 9 for this, I would be so upset. I think I actually wrote too many words. I wrote 320 words because I was typing. This is worth a 9. I'm going to show you why. Why would this essay that I wrote, and yours would probably get a good score looking at some of those sentences and the structure you used. Some of the grammar's not great. Still, you're improving. But why would mine get a 9? I'm a native speaker, fine, but let's have a closer look. First thing is task response. So let me explain first. There are 4 things that the IELTS examiners look for in your essay. One is task response, which means did you answer the question? The second is grammar. Did you use good grammar? Third is vocabulary. Did you use precise vocabulary? And the fourth one is coherence. Did you use a good structure? So let's go through this. So why would I get a 9 for task response, answering the question? Because everything I wrote was about this. Everything I wrote, I never went off topic. I never talked about anything else. I followed a strict structure that followed this completely. So I would get a 9 for task response. Fine. What about vocabulary? Why would I get a 9 for vocabulary? Greatest benefit. Otherwise impossible. Unusually difficult experiences. Beyond the norm. Continually pushed out of my comfort zone. Psychological states. Unique and novel. Adapt no matter what. Ultra challenging experiences, paradoxically. I've used a mixture of simple, clear vocabulary and academic, complex vocabulary. But what you will notice is that words aren't individuals. Words often come together as pairs, like greatest benefit, or what was the one I used? Incredibly common, greatest benefit. So when you're writing, you don't want to be thinking in terms of one word. You want to be thinking in terms of phrases. Greatest benefit, otherwise impossible, beyond the norm, unique and novel, or no matter what. This will get you an IELTS 9 for vocabulary. What about grammar? Okay, let's look at this because this looks a bit colorful. Looks like I don't know what that looks like actually. Here we go. Let's first look at the red words. These are verbs. Red are verbs. So I've used a variety of different verbs. Will improve, had have studied, requires, simple present, future simple, had have studied, past perfect in the passive, will have, future simple, would have been, well, this is a present perfect with a modal verb, studied, past simple, pushed, past simple, were, past simple, had to adapt, are, present simple, make, present simple. I've used a variety of different verbs, not really consciously. They just appeared as I was thinking, and so these were the verbs I used. But in order to get a 9, you need to use complex verbs. But here's the thing. Only use them if you understand or if you are confident that they're correct or accurate. If you're not confident and you're just trying and experimenting, that's worse than using simple verbs that you're confident with. All right, what else have we got in here? Well, we've got green ones are nouns, benefit, experiences, plural, more than one experience, experiences, students, plural, countries, norm, comfort zone, experiences, overseas, psychological states. Get your singular and plural nouns correct. The benefit, the norm, the main advantage, a person. Get your articles right. Prepositions, as, in, beyond, in, into, in, out of, into, as. And the final one is these orange words, that. These words connect a simple sentence to another simple sentence to create a complex sentence. That, if, that, and that, because. So we've got conjunctions and pronouns. The last thing I want to point out to you are the other pronouns that I've used here. So we've got, see, I'm talking about students. So I talk about themselves, plural. They, plural. Themselves, plural. When I studied in Indonesia, I was continually pushed out of my. So you can see how the pronouns are the same as the nouns. If I'm talking plural here, more than one, then my pronouns will be plural more than one. Cool? And down here, I go back to experiences, the main advantage of studying overseas, because they, I'm talking about students. Okay, that's a little bit different. Anyway, that's grammar. Last one is coherence. Coherence means that my paragraphs, my introduction, my paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and my conclusion flow from the very first letter, capital letter, right down through to the full stop. Okay, that structure I showed you uses this flow. And the other thing about that structure I showed you is that it's cyclical, it's circular. The introduction goes into sentence 2, which goes into sentence 3, which goes into the conclusion, the concluding sentence, and that links back to the first sentence. So let's recap what we learned so that when you see a question about advantages, disadvantages, you know exactly what to do. You look at the general statement, you look at the advantages, you think about the disadvantages. We're going to write a 4-paragraph essay with an introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and a conclusion. Here is the entire essay sentence by sentence. It's not that difficult to memorize because this, the introduction, is the exact same thing as the conclusion. Paragraph 1 is the exact same thing as paragraph 2. All you're memorizing, in fact, are 7 sentences. And that's that. Cool. Any questions? Any questions? All right, how do I do this? Where's my chat? Where's my chat gone? Where is my chat? Chat, there it is. Cool. Answering questions. Julia, the word mainstream was, I think you have an incorrect understanding of the word mainstream. The way that you used it in that paragraph was incorrect. I can't remember what it was, but please check out that word. You might want to think of an alternative word. If you're on YouTube, by the way, and you have not clicked like, please do. It will mean a lot to me. Click subscribe as well while you're there. Why not? And if you're feeling very adventurous, you can check out www.e2language.com, where you can sign up for free and get some free practice materials and stuff like that. Julia says, Jay, is it possible in this type of essay to write 2 paragraphs just about the advantages? It is, but that structure I showed you, it's better to write an advantage, disadvantage, and then come to a conclusion. Why? Because it's a bit more complex and the examiners will prefer it rather than you just saying, studying abroad is great because of A, studying abroad is great because of B, goodbye. No, it's better to say, studying abroad has advantages, here they are, here are the disadvantages, I think this. So you'll get a higher score if you write both types of paragraphs. Ruchi, do we need to use indentations? No, Ruchi, I'm going to show you what... where's my cursor? Where's my cursor? Nope, I can't show you. Whoop, there it is there. Got it. I'm going to show you what your essay should look like on test day. Hold on. Sorry, the alarm was about to go off in my office. This is what your essay should look like on test day. Where is it? Like this, Ruchi. There's no indentations. You write like this. You just leave a line between your paragraphs. That's all. No indentations. Introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, conclusion. That's it. Cool. All right. I'm just looking at the chat on Facebook. Any questions on Facebook? How important is spelling? Good question, actually, because they just have the 4 criteria. They don't mention spelling. Let me think. I actually don't know the answer to that. I know that those 4 things, task response, grammar, vocabulary, and coherence are the key things you need to worry about. Any more questions on YouTube? Feel free. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Just type in yes if you can hear me. Ruchi, no indentation for letter writing either. What's going on? 22222 should have audio. Okay, so Divyansh has asked the same question. Can we write just about the advantages? And the answer is you can, but the structure I just showed you will become redundant. So do write both the advantages and disadvantages. The examiner will prefer it. Okay, so Ritika has got a good question. Ritika has asked, hey Jay, please tell me if I use simple language, will I be able to score a 7 or higher? The answer is simple, accurate language is good. Complex, inaccurate language is bad. So choose simple, write straight sentences, write accurate sentences. Try to make some joined sentences using because or and or which or that, for example. Sushma, so will we be given exactly 40 minutes? No, you're given 60 minutes to do both tasks, writing task 1 and writing task 2. You have to manage your own time. So spend about 20 minutes on the first task, 40 minutes on the second task. Interesting. Cool. All right. Any more? Okay, all good. I think that's all. Thanks very much for coming along. I appreciate it. I hope it was helpful. I've just realized that... Anyway, thanks. Terima kasih banyak Hermananda Rusti. Sampai jumpa lagi.